I ended up dividing this video into two parts simply because my mold wasn't drying very well. If you pick a smaller mold, your dry time is going to be more accurate to that like 15 to 20 minute timeline. But again, if it's at all possible for you to come in early to start the slip casting, that's going to work the best. Otherwise, the other solution we have is to cover the mold with a plastic bag and put it in the damp cabinet until you can get back to it. So I'm going to remove the rubber bands. And the mold feels quite wet because it's absorbed the moisture from the slip clay. And then you can see this front part, that's called the waste. I'm going to use my special tool, which is the plastic one. You could also use a wood tool, that would work just fine. And I want to kind of go around and loosen it. So I was able to easily take off the first part of my mold. And then because this has set for so long, it was really easy to take it out of the other side. Now, this top section has to go away. But in order for us to get it out of the mold accurately, that's why this piece is here. So I need to trim down to this area. The best way to do that is to use a fettling knife. Or I'm actually going to use a sgraffito tool. I'm going to use the speared end. And I don't want to saw. I really want to make this incision as evenly as I can and smooth. And I'm just going around and going through, trying to keep that as level as I can. I want to get nice and close to my handle and then finish that part off. So this area here, we can't use this for anything, so that can just go into the garbage. And then I have an uneven top, so I may want to come back with my fettling knife. Right now I'm just using the sgraffito tool, and I want to level that off. So now that that's pretty level, you can see that there's a small seam line that goes up the handle, down the bottom of the cup, and to the other side. So that's where the mold sat together. And so I need to remove that line. And it's best to do it right now while the clay is leather hard. So I'm just going to take this sgraffito tool and just gently shave that away. I want to make sure that I get it off the bottom. And I need to go over my handle. Trying to really glide as much as you can. Now in the presentation it said you can use a soft sponge. I would probably use that sgraffito tool first. And then on the inside part of the handle is also a seam. So I need to do the side, and then I need to go up and around. I don't want to see seam lines, because that tells your person who's using the piece that you took it out of a mold, and that's not really necessary, as well as it doesn't look very nice or it doesn't look finished. Now you need to be careful because we're leather hard, and I just ding that with my fingernail, but I can rub that out right away and have that go away. So right now, I just want to go back to the top part of my mug and just do a little bit more flattening. And then I'm going to leave it for a while before I go back in and even up the rim and smooth some areas out. Now on the inside, I don't know if you can see this real well, there are a couple of lumps and bumps. Because they're on the inside, I'm not going to do too much with them. If they were on the outside, I would use that sgraffito tool and shave that away. But right now, I've taken it out of the mold, I've removed the top waste, and it's ready to set and dry so that I can finish cleaning up that top edge, smoothing it out, and smoothing where my seams were. But the seams have been removed, so that's a really good start. Now my mold, I always want to make sure that I put it back together. And if there's some clay, like I've got clay on this rubber band, you can just peel that off. Or if you need to, you can use this graffito tool to kind of gently scrape it away. But you want to try to remove as much of that as you can. And then you want to go ahead and put your mold back together. It's important that the mold stays back together because it's made out of plaster and it's absorbed all of that moisture. And so it needs some time to dry. If I tried to pour something in this again, it might have too much moisture, and so it would take an extra long time for me to be able to remove my piece. So it's just important that you keep aware of the moisture content of the mold. So it is possible to pour multiple pieces in one day, but because of our timing, it's a little bit trickier. So I would recommend that you just stick with the one piece. And like I said, if you can't get to the point where you can take the piece out of the mold, you can double check with me. And then basically what we're going to do is just wrap the mold in a plastic bag and put that in the damp cabinet until you're back in the studio. And then you can easily remove it. If we try to take it out too early, especially if it has attached parts like a handle, chances are that's where that mold goes together. You're going to go ahead and rip that handle right off. So you want to make sure that you wait until the clay is the proper moisture content before trying to take it off. So like I said, I'm going to let my piece sit out to become bone dry. And then once it's bone dry, I'll show you how to finish up the piece. So sorry about the 2 segments of this video, but at least you kind of understand the process behind slip casting. And of course, I'm always in the studio to assist you if you need help. And it would be really good if you could come in early, or you could come back during RTI time, maybe to check on the mold. Or if worse comes to worse, like I said, we can put it in the damp cabinet for a couple of days.